The lost colony of Roanoke is one of the most enduring mysteries in American history. Located on Roanoke Island, off the coast of what is now North Carolina, the colony's story has puzzled historians, archaeologists, and adventurers for centuries. Its disappearance in the late 16th century remains unsolved, and despite various theories and years of research, the fate of the settlers who lived there continues to be a subject of intrigue and speculation. The background of Roanoke begins with the age of European exploration and the race for dominance in the New World. In the late 1500s, England was eager to establish a foothold in the Americas. Sir Walter Raleigh, an ambitious explorer and nobleman, sought to claim land for England in the New World. His dream was to create a permanent English settlement that would secure England's future in the Americas. Raleigh sponsored a number of expeditions with the goal of establishing colonies, and his efforts ultimately led to the creation of Roanoke. The first group of settlers arrived in 1585, led by Ralph Lane. The goal was to establish a base for future expeditions, but the settlers quickly faced numerous challenges. The local Native American tribes, particularly the CROATOANs, initially offered help, but tensions soon flared. The colonists faced food shortages, a lack of supplies, and mounting frustration with their leadership. After just a year, Lane and his group returned to England, leaving behind a colony that seemed to be on the verge of collapse. Despite the failure of the first settlement, Raleigh was undeterred. He sent a second expedition to Roanoke in 1587, this time under the leadership of John White. White's group was different. This time, it included women and children, suggesting that Raleigh intended for the colony to become a permanent settlement. White's group landed on Roanoke Island and set about establishing their homes. However, they faced the same challenges as the first group: limited resources, difficult relations with the indigenous tribes, and internal strife. John White, recognizing the need for more supplies, made the difficult decision to return to England for help. He left the colony in the hands of the settlers, promising to return as quickly as possible. But when White arrived in England, a crisis was unfolding. The Spanish Armada was threatening England, and all available ships were diverted to defend the country. It wasn't until 3 years later, in 1590, that White was able to return to Roanoke. When White finally returned to the colony, he found it abandoned. There were no settlers, no signs of violence, and no indication of what had happened to them. All that remained was a cryptic message. On a tree, the word CROATOAN had been carved and CRO had been etched into a post. This strange message was the only clue to the fate of the lost colony. Despite searching the island and the surrounding areas, White could find no other trace of the settlers. The disappearance of the Roanoke Colony is one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. Many theories have emerged over the centuries to explain what happened to the settlers. One of the most widely accepted theories is that the settlers integrated with local Native American tribes, particularly the CROATOANs, after finding it impossible to survive on their own. Some later English settlers reported seeing Native Americans who resembled the Roanoke colonists, lending credence to this theory. There are also accounts from the 17th century that suggest the settlers may have been adopted by the CROATOAN tribe, or that they merged with other tribes in the area. Another theory proposes that the Spanish may have attacked and destroyed the colony. At the time, the Spanish controlled much of Florida and had a long-standing animosity with the English. Some believe that the Spanish, seeing the Roanoke colony as a threat, might have wiped it out. However, there is no direct evidence to support this claim, and no reports of Spanish ships in the area at the time. Some historians have suggested that the settlers may have perished due to starvation or disease. The harsh conditions on Roanoke Island, coupled with the lack of resources and supplies, could have led to the death of many of the settlers. Without enough food, clean water, or proper shelter, The colonists may have been unable to survive. But if this was the case, why was there no sign of their bodies or remains? Why did White find no evidence of violence or decay upon his return? A more plausible theory is that the settlers left Roanoke and relocated to another area, perhaps further inland or to the north. This theory posits that they moved in search of better land and more resources. There are some who believe that the CROATOAN carving was a message indicating that the settlers had relocated to the nearby CROATOAN Island, now Hatteras Island. White himself believed this to be the case, but he was unable to reach the island, and further investigation yielded no results. Despite these theories, no one knows for certain what happened to the Roanoke settlers. The mystery of the lost colony has endured for over 400 years. The idea of a group of people vanishing without a trace has captured the imagination of historians and storytellers alike, leading to countless theories, books, and films. The disappearance of the colony was a significant event in the history of English colonization, and its legacy looms large in American folklore. In the centuries since the disappearance, archaeologists and historians have worked tirelessly to uncover the truth behind the colony's fate. Excavations on Roanoke Island and surrounding areas have yielded some clues, including artifacts that suggest the settlers may have lived in the area longer than previously thought. There have been some recent discoveries, such as the finding of European-style tools on Hatteras Island, that could support the theory of a relocation. However, none of these discoveries have been able to definitively solve the mystery. More recently, DNA testing has been used to try to trace the descendants of the Roanoke settlers. By comparing the genetic profiles of modern-day Native American tribes with those of the settlers, researchers hope to find a link that might explain what happened to the lost colony. While there is no concrete evidence yet, the use of modern technology has opened up new possibilities for solving this age-old puzzle. The story of the lost colony of Roanoke continues to capture the public's imagination. It is a story of ambition, failure, mystery, and speculation. The fate of the settlers may never be known, but their story has become an indelible part of American history. The unanswered questions surrounding the colony's disappearance serve as a reminder of the challenges and dangers faced by early explorers and settlers, and the lasting impact of their efforts on the history of the United States. The mystery of the lost colony of Roanoke is unlikely to ever be completely solved. As long as there are questions left unanswered, the story will continue to fascinate and inspire. Whether the settlers were absorbed by Native American tribes, perished from disease or starvation, or simply vanished without a trace, their story remains one of the most intriguing and enduring mysteries in American history.